We left off on page Yud Gimel, Ois Daled, and we were speaking about the idea of the achdus that there is between the different parts of the lulav, how the esrig is a level of achdus, how the lulav is a level of achdus. Each one of these are an achdus, and it's a culmination of the achdus that's on Yom Kippur, except that on Yom Kippur the unity is only a singular achdus, whereas the achdus of the sukkahs is an achdus where you take things that are potentially separated things and you are joining them together, which is a greater idea of achdus. And we were speaking about earlier as well that this is something that has to do with the entire idea of what we're trying to accomplish in Tishrei. We're trying to bring down that bakesa, what's concealed on Rosh Hashanah, and should come out revealed in Sukkot, and that's be Yom Chagenu. And that revelation, the fact that it comes out in such an order, has to go. We said we have to go from Makif to Pnimi, Basukos, and then Teshvu, Laman Yedu. And this comes down even more in a Pnimius, in the four kinds, even more so than just the Basukos Teshvu. So now we're going to speak further in this topic of what the Lulav and Esrig, the Daled Minim in general, add and complete over Rosh Hashanah more specifically. So again, Ois Daled, page Yud Gimel, line 17. Yesh lahoisiv bebira ilush netoisu b'chag ha-sukkos. Aidei mitzvah until zarba minim, we can add and explaining the advantage that's added in the Yom Tov of Sukkos through the mitzvah of Sukkah and taking the four kinds l'gabe Rosh Hashanah over Rosh Hashanah b'kesel Yom Chagenu, which is the day when it's still concealed and it's only going to be revealed later on. So we can explain this more, beprotis yoser, more specifically, what do we gain by the sukkah and the daled minim that we did not have earlier. The reason why it's insufficient, that which comes down on Rosh Hashanah, that's in the way of that what is concealed, because the ultimate purpose is, the goal and the purpose of creation was to make a home for the Eibishter down here below, and to preface the idea of dir b'tachtonim, though it's a all-encompassing thing and it has to do with the entire year, but specifically it has a special connection with Rosh Hashanah. This is something that's also connected with Rosh Hashanah, the idea of dir b'tachtonim. Though Rosh Hashanah is the sixth day of creation, it's the day when Adam Rishon was created. Never Allah, still and all, on the sixth day of creation, it says about it, we say it in Musaf on Rosh Hashanah, this day is the beginning of your doing, even though it's the sixth day. Why is it called the beginning? Because the sixth day when man was made, that affects and changes the entire forming of all your things, the entire creation, that should be in such a way that is corresponding to and appropriate to the will of the Eibishter. That he had a desire to have a home down here below, top of page Yudalit. Adam, through the person that he was created in the sixth day of creation. So he's not just a private individual, if you will. It's not just another part of creation happened on the sixth day, but he impacts and changes and transforms the entire creation beforehand. So now it's as if a new creation. It's not the same creation that it was before, because now the purpose of creation is being seen through Adam. And that's not just limited to Adam as being Adam Rishon, but it's also including every single Yid. Atem Krim Ya Adam, you, the Yidden are called Adam, that all of us are the ones that are doing and accomplishing and changing the creation by making for the Eibishter a dir leisbarach. Kol echad misrael, every single Yid. Shari ani nivreis l'shamshes koinim, because I was created to serve my Maker. Ukishem she'inyan hashimush kipshut hayu ba'oifn. Sha'eved oisa avura adn. Davar sha'adn atzmi eina oisa. Just like, what is the simple meaning of service? The simple meaning of service is that a servant does for his master something that the master himself wouldn't do. So the servant is going to serve his master a cup of coffee. His servant is going to serve his master food. The master is not serving himself. So in other words, the servant is doing something that the master is not doing. And va'ideza, through the servant doing it, nismaler etzayna adam, so the will ha'adam, through that the will of the master becomes fulfilled. So too it's also when we apply it concerning Hashem. Only through specifically through the fact that every single Yid serves his master. So now it's fulfilled the will and the desire that Hashem has to have a home down here below. It's understood that the intention is this idea of Hashem having a home down here below should be in a revealed way. That people should see revealed way in a revealed way. That is a home for the Eibush down here below. And when's the ultimate expression of that? Like it'll be in the future when Mashiach comes. Like it says, that the glory of Hashem will become revealed, and all flesh will see together. The mouth of Hashem spoke. This is also in a way of joining opposites. We started earlier in the Maimer speaking about that the idea of tshuva, which is the message of Rosh Hashanah, is about joining opposites. The person that was rachik, he was originally distant, he became close. The same thing, we have the idea of the makif and the pnimi and the sukkah. The same thing we have in the four kinds, from disparity, from multiplicity, you have unity. The same thing you have in the revelation of Hashem. In the revelation of Hashem that it says concerning Mashiach's times, that will be accomplished, and that is the expression of Dir Lo Yisbarach Tachtonim, you have a joining of opposites. The revelation that says that will become revealed, the glory of Hashem, is specifically to the eyes of flesh. And not just the eyes of flesh, until even the flesh itself will perceive godliness, which seems to be two opposites. Godliness and flesh seems to be complete two extremes. So he says, how is that possible? Since in the body will be the revelation of the Ein Sof of the infinite. We know that the Ein Sof comes down and is connected more with the body than with the neshama. The neshama has to do with the malakalam, the guf has to do with the Ein Sof, because the guf is yesh ma'ayin, etc. And to such a degree, to such a degree, will the power of the Ein Sof manifest itself in the body, that when Mashiach comes, the neshama, instead of sustaining the body the way it is now, the neshama will be sustained by the body, like it's explained in many places, because the body will have the revelation of the Ein Sof, which the neshama doesn't have of its own. And to be able to tap into the Ein Sof, the neshama is going to have to receive from the body. Therefore, same thing now, following Rosh Hashanah, and we have the Aseret Mitzvah, and we have Yom Kippur, then in those days of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Aseret Mitzvah, The primary avodah is in spiritual matters. Because even a Rosh Hashanah mitzvah yom b'shofar, that the mitzvah of the day is in shofar. So shofar is not a spiritual thing. Shofar is a physical object taken from a physical animal, etc. Still in all, hare inyan mitzvah kosher im shmias koil belvad. The mitzvah of the day of Rosh Hashanah, which is shofar, it's not about the blowing of the shofar. It's about hearing the sound of the shofar. That's why we make the bracha l'shmoya b'kol shofar, to hear the sound of the shofar. How much more so? Yom Kippur is a spiritual time. Also in a revealed way is emphasized the spiritual aspect of Yom Kippur, where we're completely divorced from the physical. We don't eat and drink, etc. And we are completely immersed in davening all day and in tshuva. These are all spiritual pursuits. So what we're having at the beginning of Tishrei is all spiritual. But afterwards, we have what was concealed, like we said on Rosh Hashanah, has to become revealed in Sukkot. Line 26. This comes down to mitzvahs that are connected with action, the sukkah, and the four kinds. To such a degree that it has to do with things that are connected with the three main needs of a person. He needs a home, he needs shelter, he needs clothing, and he needs to have food. Shekol inyanim elu tzrichim liyos basukah davke. All these matters, top of the page, Teshbov, have to be specifically in the sukkah. Like it says, Teshvu kein taduru, that you need to settle. Why the halacha, we were asking about the question, Teshvu. Teshvu doesn't say you should walk into the sukkah, you should spend time in the sukkah. It says Teshvu. Teshvu, when it means settling means just like you're living at your home. So in other words, your sukkah is now your home. And your food is done in the sukkah. And your clothing, you're obviously going into with your clothing into the sukkah. Many mitzvahs do not entail bringing your clothing to the mitzvah. Sukkah has all these things: bayis, levush, and mazon. Until it comes down into physical things in the literal sense. So therefore, since lamata masaret tvachim, in lower than 10 hand breadths, in other words, in this physical world, Chag HaSukkos is also called in the Torah the Yom Tov, when we gather. It's when we collect all the harvest that was out in the field. When you will gather from your grain and you'll gather from your wine. Like it's brought down in Yalkut Shemoni, that's why it says by the Yom Tov of Sukkot. Why is it called Zman Sukkot? We mentioned before, because it says Simcha 3 times. Why does it say Simcha 3 times? In the Torah, it doesn't say Simcha at all by Pesach. By Shavuos, it says only once Simcha. And by Sukkot, it says Simcha 3 times. So the Yalkut Shemoni explains, Pesach, the world is still being judged about the harvest, about the crops. Will it grow? Will it not grow? Etc. Etc. Shavuos, it right begins the time of the harvest, etc. Etc. So therefore, it says one simcha, but it's not the full joy as it is after it was out in the field and it dried and it's prepared and it's ready. Then on Sukkot's time, you bring it in from the field. So then it says 3 times the idea of simcha. This indicates this concept that it's because at that time all the fruits are inside the house. It's also brought down another reason, because that's when the servants were received freedom, and in a spiritual way we all received our freedom from any negative things on Yom Kippur. So we see this idea of the spiritual and the dir b'tachtonim that really began on Rosh Hashanah, the day of the creation of Adam Rishon. When do we manifest that? When do we bring that out in a revealed way? We manifest this and bring this out in a revealed way on the actual Yom Tov of Sukkot, in our physical world, in the gathering and collecting, in the bringing in the crops, in being all of our things in the Sukkot. That's where you have all the Gashmias coming down, in the Ruchnis coming down into the world of Gashmias, which is the idea of Dir B'Tachtoin. Second paragraph on page Tesvav. So he goes on and says, in addition to this, through the fact that it becomes the revelation of Bakes by the Jewish people. In other words, you're taking what's concealed and now you're revealing it. But who is it being revealed by? Essentially, it's being revealed by us. We are the ones that are living in the Sukkah. We are the ones that are taking the Daled Minim. We are the ones that are collecting the crop and the harvest, etc., etc. But through the Yidden, it also comes down in the entire world. And that is more so the Daled Minim. In other words, Sukkah is more about the Yid, and the Daled Minim is the way it impacts and signifies it to the world. That through the Daled Minim, we know, and the world knows, and the entire world proclaims that Yidden are victorious. There's the famous mashal. Let's read it on the right side of the page. Go down in the biur, the commentary in the parentheses, line 26, and the commentary and the parentheses of their Kedivre Medrash, like the words of the Medrash. Mashal Shnayim Shenichnu Seitz Al Adayin. This is a metaphor for two people that went in before a judge. We don't know. We were outside the courtroom. We didn't see what was going on in the courtroom, and we don't know who was victorious of these two litigants. Someone who's carrying a flag or a high item in their hands. We know that he is the one that's victorious, because that high item, that tall item, is indicative of his victory. It's and so on. Skip the brackets to line 32 in the commentary. So to the Yidden and the nations of the world are like facing a trial against each other in Rosh Hashanah. And we do not know who's victorious. Is it the Yidden that are going to be victorious? Are they going to have a good year? Or Chas v'Shalom, are the nations of the world going to Chas v'Shalom overtake us? Ella. The fact that Yidden go out from before Hashem, and their Lovim and Asroyim on their hands, on the Yoidim, the Yisrael in Tzechayo, we know that Yidden are the ones that are victorious. This brings it out in a way of victory that's manifest in the world. And the Rebbe also says this in the Sikha around that Maimer. He points out that even though we already said that Atem Nitzavim Hayoim Kulchem, Chaim Kulchem Hayoim, that just like it's daytime and it's illuminating, and the Yidden are standing fast, and Nitzavim, it shows on Nitzav Melech, this already before Rosh Hashanah, we know that we are celebrating and being forgiven, etc., etc. But that's between us and Hashem. For this to be revealed into the world, that is the lulav and the esrog. So everything we've been talking about is different stages. In Rosh Hashanah, everything is concealed. In Sukkot, it starts becoming revealed with the Sukkah for us, and then with the lulavim and esrogim that we're going out in the street with the lulav and esrog, it's manifested in the world. Over the Yom Tov of Sukkot, there is an unusual amount of oxen that are brought on the Mizbeach. And they go in a way of decreasing numbers every single day, from a higher number to a lower number. It starts from 13, going down the second day to 12, etc., through the 7 days of Sukkot. But on Shmini Atzeres, it's only one showing on the connection of Yidden with the Eibishter. But altogether, when you add up all the oxen that were brought over the 7 days of Sukkot, you have altogether 70 oxen, and these correspond to the 70 nations. And the Gemara also adds that if the nations would know what we accomplish for them and how we help them with the 70 oxen that we bring on Sukkot, instead of destroying the Beis HaMikdash, they'd send guards and special troops to guard the Beis HaMikdash because of how special and how good it is for them. So we're saying line 12, back in the text, line 12, they see in a revealed way. That through the Yidden, all matters of the world are influenced and affected. Just like the actual offering of a sacrifice. When you bring a carbon, that's something revealed that eyes of flesh can see. Even a non-Jew sees this. You take physical things, that's made up of animals, behemoths of an animal, and then you have tzemeach, the wine that's poured on the mizbeach, and the meal offering that's brought is from tzemeach, from vegetation. V'doimim, you have to put salt on the mizbeach, on the carbon. That's inanimate, that's inorganic. And you offer them up on the fired mizbeach. They see that actually a physical eye can see that smoke comes up from it. Similar to the smoke of the Ketores cloud that was over the cover of the Aron that took place in Yom Kippurim. And we know that from the smoke of just like we said before, that from the Tkiyas of Rosh Hashanah becomes the Schach of the Sukkah, the same thing from the smoke of the Ketores, from that comes out also the Schach of the Sukkah. Inyan HaMakifim the Sukkah is the idea of the encompassing level of Sukkahs, like explained in many places, that since the Sukkah is connected with the Anania Kovid, the Sukkah is representing the clouds of glory that surrounded the Yidden. Therefore, the clouds of glory that we are sitting in now, which is the Sukkah, is a result of the cloud of the Ketores, the cloud that was made by the Ketores over the Aron. But he just brings this in as a side point because he's trying to show how the actual physical carbon is being offered up, and it turns into smoke, that one could see this in their physical eyes. Until this matter becomes a close preparation to the true and complete redemption, then it will be fulfilled the promise. And the glory of Hashem will come revealed. And all flesh will see together, like we mentioned earlier, that's going to be the ultimate revelation of Dir B'Tachtonim in this world, that the physical world is going to manifest this. Bottom of the page, Oisei, line 24. All this occurs every single year, at the beginning of the year. Beginning from Rosh Hashanah, then with the blowing of the shofar, all of this takes place in a way that's concealed. Afterwards it comes down the Yom Tov Sukkot, the day of our celebration, that it comes out in a revealed way, like we mentioned throughout the Maimer. From the Yom Tov Sukkot, the time of our rejoicing, we draw this down for the entire year. When Yaakov went to his way, like the Rebbe always brings down in Lubavitch, after Simchas Torah, after Shabbos Bereshis, they used to give a slap on the bima And they used to announce, and Yaakov went on his way. What's this indicate? The Yaakov, the traveling of Yaakov is to his way. Could have said, Yaakov halach ala derech. Yaakov is going on a way, on the way. What does it mean on his way? It means a specific way that Yaakov is meant to go on. Derech Hashem, the way of Hashem. Like it says, that from Hashem, the steps of a person are prepared already, where I'm going to go, where I'm going to travel, and he will desire the way of Hashem. So we see that Darka is talking about Hashem's way. So the same thing like in that pasuk, Hashem Tzadik Ever Kananu, is talking about his way, the way of Hashem. The same thing with Yaakov Halcha Darka, he's also talking about the way of Hashem. And we also see another place where it speaks about the way of Hashem by Avraham Avinu, which of course, like it says in the pasuk, Laman Asher Yitzav one of his basic Acharov, so he should command his children and his household following him. V'shamru derech Havaya, that they will observe the way of Havaya, Laset Tzedakah and Mishpat, to do Tzedakah and Mishpat. So we see again, there's this idea of the Avos being known for going in the way of Hashem, and the same thing. We are also, from Tishrei, from Zman Sugoseinu, going in the way of Hashem. In such a manner that he's going in the way of Hashem, that's how he's traveling in the world. In the effects in the world, the will of Hashem. Lastly, he's to make for Hashem a home down here below. He does it out of joy and gladness of heart. Until he breaks through all the boundaries. And the true and complete redemption comes speedily, mamish, through Mashiach. You build the base of Mikdash in its place, and you will collect the scattered Yidden, will be fulfilled the promise. Then I will transform to the nations a clear language, that all of them will call out in the name of Hashem, that they will all serve Him together in oneness of Bakar of Mamish, and speedily in our days.